What's up, everybody? My name is Raj Chetta, and welcome to another Crimson Artist audio reviews, where today I'll be looking at Baby Driver, as well as the sixth Spider-Man film, the third Spider-Man iteration, and the first Spider-Man film to be in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, that is Spider-Man Homecoming. But I just want to clarify a few things before I begin with these two particular reviews today. I have an upcoming video review for War for the Planet of the Apes. I'll get into all that once I start filming, okay? I've seen the movie. I will explain how I managed to see the movie whenever I get the chance. Most likely after I finish recording these two reviews, and then I'll start filming my review for War for the Planet of the Apes. Okay? So, let's start off with the Edgar Wright film, Baby Driver, which is, like I said, written and directed by Edgar Wright. It stars Ansel Elgort, Jamie Foxx, Kevin Spacey, John Bernthal, and a shitload of other people. Oh yeah, Lily James is also in the movie. The film is about this kid who is like roughly around kind of like my age, and he is just trying to make a living, listening to some really, really catchy tunes while driving like a crazy ass, like escorting criminals to destinations, helping them out in criminal activities and whatnot. It's I'm not sure if I explained it right, but basically it's just another Edgar Wright movie, and I can't say that's a bad thing, because when it's another Edgar Wright movie, it's always a privilege to see another Edgar Wright movie, because I've been a fan of his work for quite some time, from films such as Hot Fuzz, That World's End, and it kind of pissed me off that the way Marvel and dealt with the Edgar Wright situation for Ant-Man a couple of years back. I would have really loved to see how Ant-Man would have been like if it was directed by Edgar Wright himself. But what we got is okay, but I would have loved to see what happened with Edgar Wright's vision, like full, complete vision of his film. But with that said, we got Baby Driver, and this is one of the most entertaining films I've seen this whole year. And that's saying a lot. We've gotten some pretty decent flicks this year. I can't believe it. From great comic book films such as Logan and Wonder Woman to amazingly independent films. Not really independent films, because it is made by a world-renowned filmmaker. The story itself is very straightforward, as long as you pay attention to everything that is happening, of course. But the thing that really sells this movie isn't the action, but it's the performance by Ansel, Baby himself, and the music. Without these two particular pieces, this movie would have just felt like a pretty generic action movie, which it is not. As well as the visual direction, that is Edgar Wright. He has a very keen style to his films, as well as uses of dialogue and sound. It's very evident with the soundtrack that is chosen for this film. When we listen to the songs here, it isn't just for like some catchy tunes for the audience to listen to, and hopes for us to buy the soundtrack on iTunes. No, the songs actually have a purpose. Much like Guardians of the Galaxy, the songs play a major role in shaping up the main character's role in the film. It manages to blend seamlessly really, really well within the scenes themselves, actually. In many action sequences, whenever there's like gunshots being fired upon two sides of the room. You will hear like drum beats that coincide with those gunshots. I love it when that happens in films and television and trailers and whatnot. I find that very, very compelling, and the fact that it was part of the story, in fact, really actually helps sells this movie. Really, they even make a bunch of references to the songs as to why this character listens to these songs every single day. It's definitely a genuine, rewarding experience to see music that is not just there for the sake for having a movie with music in it. It actually serves a purpose. And the cinematography, the performances are just really, really well done. I couldn't ask for a much better film, in my opinion. I personally am going to give this a solid A. It definitely has earned its place amongst one of the greatest films of 2017. But that's, like I said, that is honestly saying a lot, because this year has been nothing but good movies for the most part. I can't say the same for Michael Bay, if you know what I mean. But so far so good. So I'm gonna give Baby Driver an A. It has great action, great use of characters and music. The story is incredible. Ansel Elgort's performance as Baby himself is one of the many highlights of this film, and I can't wait to pick it up on Blu-ray. Now let's swing on over to New York City, or Queens more importantly. This is the 6th iteration of Spider-Man on the big screen. It is the 3rd iteration in movie standards, because we had Tobey Maguire, Andrew Garfield, and now Tom Holland. And it is the first official solo Spider-Man movie that is set in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. I can't believe I'm saying this right now. In the Marvel Cinematic Universe. That same universe with Iron Man, Captain America, Hulk, Thor, the Avengers pretty much. It's an incredible moment, but does the film as a whole, did it work? Did they finally make a good Spider-Man movie? Or is it just another complete dud that is even worse than Amazing Spider-Man 2? Well, before I get into that, I want to quickly go over my thoughts on the previous films and each film franchise. The first film, I definitely liked it. It was enjoyable for its time, with cheesy dialogue and whatnot. The second one was still the best film in the series, in my opinion. It was a character study for what it means to maintain heroism as well as trying to lead a normal life at the same time. The third film, while stupid and silly, then again, all these movies are stupid and silly, the third film had a chance, It had a good story arc between Peter Parker and Harry Osborn, but everything was just bogged down by the pointless subplots and the needlessly added villains, such as Sandman and Venom. Venom clearly was shoehorned in by the studio itself. Sam Raimi did not want anything to do with Venom, and I completely blame Sony on that part. So much so that he didn't even return for a sequel, and Sony, the geniuses they are, decided to reboot the entire franchise from scratch by making a darker, serious, like The Dark Knight, And that is The Amazing Spider-Man. And I enjoyed it for what it was trying to do, but after seeing it twice, I'm starting to see that this is a tonally confusing movie. Does it want to be dark? Does it want to be realistic? Or does it want to have a crappy CGI fight with a giant lizard? Why would you want to make Spider-Man realistic? That's the dumbest thing you could ever do for a character such as Spider-Man, who swings webs and jumps really, really high and climbs up buildings. You honestly gonna expect me to take him seriously? Come on. And don't get me started on The Amazing Spider-Man 2. That is definitely the worst film in the entire series, ranging from bad action, bad storytelling, bad performances. Everything about that movie was just crap. The only thing that tried to save it was the romantic subplot with Gwen and Peter, as well as Gwen's downfall. That was the only highlight of the movie, and I can't believe I'm saying that. The best part of the movie was Gwen Stacy's death. And even that was shoehorned in. What the hell? But, with that being said, what did I think of the new Spider-Man Homecoming? This film is directed by John Watts and it stars Tom Holland, Michael Keaton, Marissa Tomei, and Robert Downey Jr., and a little bit of Jon Favreau. Honestly, going in, I was very, very scared because I have been gypped 3 times in terms of Spider-Man, right? But after I walked out, I can safely say this is the best Spider-Man movie I've personally seen since the second one. I am dead serious. This is a great film. Not because it has Spider-Man in it, but it's actually not really a superhero movie at all, really. Think about it for a moment, okay? Most superhero movies within the last, I don't know, a decade or so have been nothing but big, gigantic, climactic, world-ending climaxes, and like a lot of people die, and a lot of collateral damage, and the city is in ruins, and basically Avengers and Man of Steel. That's what we've come to expect with these superhero movies, but not Spider-Man Homecoming. Spider-Man Homecoming is actually a high school teen comedy with really good comedy. None of the humor seemed forced, and they all seemed it all felt natural when I heard these quips, these jokes. And it felt necessary because it featured teenagers for the most part. It featured kids whose age I was just at 4 years ago. I was a fucking high schooler 4 or 5 years ago. I know what it's like, and to see that come on screen is simply nostalgic. You know, I had a nostalgic moment. I had a lot of nostalgic moments within this film, ranging from Peter Parker having a high school crush, and him going to the science fair and all that, the science club, whatever it's called, going to prom, the homecoming dance, and all that. It was definitely it made me feel like a high schooler again. That's the thing about Spider-Man. Like, Spider-Man is not really a man. Spider-Man is just a title, like The Mask or Batman. Peter Parker is just a kid who's just trying to find his place in the world, trying to prove himself that he can be a hero like Tony Stark, and that was his essential goal. And they handled that very, very well, in my opinion. They managed to create a Spider-Man that acts like a dumbass, but not in an annoying way. We understand what he's trying to do, and it's very rewarding when he finally gets his wish. He finally gets his chance to shine, right? And by the very end, I'm not going to spoil anything in this review. I suggest you go out and check out the movie yourself. You're going to have a giant blast with this film. But by the very end, they teased a lot of things that will happen in future films, but Peter Parker managed to be one of the most responsible characters ever put on screen. The whole great power comes great responsibility that has been uttered so many times in past films, even if the Amazing Spider-Man kind of tried to not say it, yet they basically said it. The whole theme of this entire movie was great power comes great responsibility. They managed to incorporate that within the film without even having to say it. This being an origin story isn't an origin story at all. We already know, everybody knows what happened to Spider-Man. He got bitten by a radioactive spider. He and his uncle had a debate, and things didn't go well, and Uncle Ben went, boom, there we go. We've seen it twice now. We don't need to see it anymore. They make hints of it. They had a couple of quotes here and there that, yeah, I got bit by a spider. Or Aunt May has been through a lot. And I like that idea. The fact that they didn't show us, they just basically subtly mentioned it here and there, but they didn't make it a big deal about it, you know? And when things and the tone itself is really well handled as well. This is simply a lighthearted film, but when things went dark, shit went dark, literally. And speaking of dark, Michael Keaton as the Vulture. I was both beyond scared and beyond excited to hear Batman appear in the MCU as the villain. And while I was excited to hear him in the movie, I was scared because Marvel has a terrible track record of shitty villains, ranging from boring to predictable to just mustache twirlers, basically. They just want to take over the world and kill everybody in sight. It was, come on, seriously? Michael Keaton as Vulture, Batman, is the best villain in the entire Marvel Cinematic Universe. Because they put a lot of emphasis on the reasons why Adrian Toomes is doing all these crazy evil acts. It's because he's desperate. He's trying to make a living for his family, you know? It's not just for him. There is a reason. And the fact that Peter Parker does not understand that fully, because he's just a kid, makes the dynamic between hero and villain much more understandable and relatable. We can understand what these two are going through. One wants to be the hero, and one wants to just look out for his family. And that is an encouraging thought when it comes to superhero villainry, you know? I mean, most times it's just like villains are just there for the hero to punch in the face, basically. That's not the case here. This is a film about learning and growing and accepting. That's what Spider-Man Homecoming is honestly about. The filmmaking style Jon Watts has definitely adopted here is some very, very fitting visual themes here. This is a high school movie, after all. And what better way to get inspired by when making a high school flick is by watching nothing but John Hughes movies. This film had a bunch of references to John Hughes himself, including one from Ferris Bueller's to that of The Breakfast Club. You will see a bunch of references that pay homage to John Hughes himself. That is the best way to make a Spider-Man movie, set in high school, actually. Be inspired by John Hughes, and it honestly worked. The performances were like all fine. Like Michael Keaton is just a really damn good actor. So glad he got picked as the Vulture. But Tom Holland, if you didn't like him already in Captain America: Civil War, then I don't know what else to tell you. Tom Holland. Okay, look, I mean no disrespect to Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield. They had to do what they had to do to follow the script given to them by Sony. I mean, Sam Raimi and Mark Webb, yeah. But Tom Holland is honestly the best Spider-Man I've ever seen on the big screen. He was funny, he was quippy, he was exactly what Spider-Man is supposed to be, but he was also very restrained and had that shy awkwardness that is Peter Parker. And he's a kid. He is basically a kid. He is learning. That's the idea that I wanted to see in Spider-Man, in a Spider-Man movie. And I finally got it. Tom Holland is brilliant as Peter Parker. And I want to see more of Tom Holland in future films. This is honestly the best Spider-Man film. It's not just the best Spider-Man film. It's the best Marvel Cinematic Universe film. Literally. It is way better than Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2. And I liked that movie, mind you. I liked it. I can't believe I'm saying this. This is... It feels good to be a Spider-Man fan again. It really does. Been waiting so many damn years to say that. So glad to see Spider-Man having a resurgence again. I've been waiting for so long, and I finally got it. Great action, great use of humor, Great use of performances and dialogue, nice themes, and really well done performances by both Michael Keaton and Spider-Man himself. I'm personally going to give Spider-Man Homecoming a solid A+. I'm serious right now. Like, Logan, Wonder Woman, and now Spider-Man Homecoming. 3 A+ in a row in terms of superhero flicks, you know? I couldn't have asked for a better summer so far. And with that said, my review for War for the Planet of the Apes is about to hit as soon as this video is uploaded. I'm uploading that as well. I can't wait to give you my thoughts on that, guys. I really am. And please, if you have the chance, go check out Baby Driver and Spider-Man Homecoming. I watched both films one day after the other, and it just felt really good. Really, really good. I'm really happy I managed to do that. Go see these two flicks. You will not regret it the slightest. This is Raj Chetta of Crimson Artists. If you like this video, if you want to see videos similar to this one, please hit like, subscribe, and I'll see you later. Take care.